What up, guys? Only 6 of you. The important people are here, though. Yo, yo, what's up? Tommaso, I think is how you say that. Tommaso. We'll give it a minute to see if anybody else feels like I can call you Tom. Great. I like that. Well, hello to you, Tom. Okay. I'm looking for, let's just put a quick note in the announcements channel. Alfonso, what's up, buddy? The dynamic duo. Shoot me a message after this, man. I want to talk to both of you guys if you're available. Just bought the seconds. Seconds is a great thing to have. You're not in trouble or anything. I have something that I want to talk to you guys about. That's good. Something we've already spoke about. So. Yeah, seconds is great, man. It's something. It's not. No, Alfonso, not you, Tom. Sorry, bro. Maybe next time. Your time will come. No, the seconds is just such a good thing to have. Man, it's a really key component to just kind of confirming what we already see on the way. It's just an added layer of confirmation. It's something that takes some getting used to for sure. It does move pretty quickly, but there's only a very specific time. We only spend about when the trade actually like frames up and everything's confirmed and 1 minute did what it needs to do, all that fun stuff. Usually you're only on the seconds for like a maximum of 5 minutes per trade. So it's not too bad. But yeah, it's definitely a really not so much key or vital component, but it's a deciding moment or factor rather to getting into some really high quality setups. So hey Ty, are you able to go are you able to go over how to set the drawings only showing up on specific timeframes? Yeah, let's do it. Since today, like really, we're not going to do a recap today because most of you guys were involved with the live trading sessions. But yeah, I'll show you guys how to set that up very quickly. Let's do that right now, actually. So anytime that you have a drawing specific tool, all you're going to do is just, like the way I do it is double click it. And I'll have stuff set up for 15 minute, for 1 minute, 5 second, and then what do you call it? 240. So the way that I have my stuff set up is like this. So if you want to just take a screenshot of this is the way that I have stuff labeled. And you can basically create templates for all of these. So if you want, take a second right now and just take a screenshot of this specific piece right here. And this is how you would label them. And the reason they're labeled this way is 0.05 is 5 second. That way it keeps everything in order from lowest all the way up to the highest. So, and then I do the 1 minute, and then I do the 15, and then the 240 is the 4 hour. So 240 minutes counts for 4 hours worth of PA. So screenshot, do that. Now, in terms of visibility, what I'll do right now is let's go down onto the 5 second because that's the easiest way to sort of do this. So the way that I have these visible is if I double click this and I select, let's say we'll call it 5 second, what you want to do is have everything. So again, take a screenshot of this if you'd like. So anytime that you create a 5 second template, you want to have everything deselected and you want to have this from seconds all the way up to 59 seconds. Next, you want to have the 1 minute. And you can see that I have this so that it shows up from all the way down seconds, all the way up to the 59 second. And then also use no, I don't use folders. I just use this. That's the only thing I use. I don't bother with the folders. And then yeah, minutes all the way up to 14. And I don't want my 1 minute drawings showing up on the 15 minute. I like to have my stuff nice and clean on the 15. 15 is the time frame I spend most of my time on, so I don't need to have all this shit on the 1 minute. 1 minute is only meant to get down onto execution. Furthermore, on the 15 minute, let's go over to the 15. I let this show up all the way up to the 1 hour. When I get onto the 4 hour, I don't want my 15-minute drawings on there. But if I have to use in between a 15-minute and a 1 hour time frame to select a POI, whatever it might be, those are the parameters that I like to use. And then lastly, I'll have my 240, which I'll allow to go all the way up to 24 hours. But yeah, no longer than the 24-hour period. So that's, again, just my personal preference. And that way, basically, anytime that you have a lower time frame that you use, it won't actually show up on the next highest time frame that you use, just so that it keeps your charts nice and clean. So again, just personal preference. You know what I mean? Like you'll be able to come back and watch this and just kind of tinker around with your stuff. But that's typically how I like to have everything set up. I just started doing this. The other thing that I'll just give you guys a quick rundown too. Most of you guys probably already know this, but when you use the, but how do you refine the POI in a POI? Well, the 15-minute will show up on the 1 minute, right? So if I'm on the 15 right now, this POI will still show up on the 1, right? It'll still show up on the 5 seconds. So then I can pick out POIs on the 1 minute and refine them, but they'll only be visible on the seconds, right? So they all correlate with the time frame below. Anyways, so yeah, one of the I'm sure most of you guys know this, but hey, there might be some people, there might be some people who don't know this. So I'm just going to go over it super quick. If you want to draw a trend line right now, I had to stop working out to jump on. Good, man. You know what? You're paying to be here. You might as well fucking show up. So I'm sure most of you guys know, but if you hold command, it'll automatically use your magnet mode. So if you just hold command and you move your mouse over the candle and you want to snap exactly to this wick, boom, you start drawing across. And let's say you want to straighten this line out to, show that you have a break of structure. If you just tap on the shift key, that automatically flattens it. And this will stay anchored right here. So you flatten it and kind of come over. So just to redo that, select, and I'm just holding the command key and dragging it over the actual candle that I want to be on. And then I'm just holding shift to straighten the line. Cool, super simple. Again, I think most people know how to do that, but some people don't. Probably just blew one or two people's minds, to be honest with you. Another thing, let's say you want to get rid of all of your drawings. You're sick and tired of all this, or a specific area of drawings. Hold command, click, and then drag, and that'll get rid of a whole bunch of your drawings at once. It'll select them, and then you can just backspace them. And if you accidentally delete too much, Command Z, everything comes back, or Control Z if you're a weird Windows person. Yeah, man, all kinds of cool stuff that you can do with it. It's just like little hotkey stuff. That's pretty well all I use. I don't really get too fancy with TradingView. To be honest, I don't really spend a whole lot of time like dinking around with the lower time frame charts. So yeah, so if I want to like put in, like, let's say okay, this is a structure point. I just want to be able to snap a line across like that. All I'm doing is literally just holding command, come down to the area, boom, it's automatically going to anchor the line. If I draw all the way over to here and I just literally click the shift button, oops, it's going to anchor it so that it's perfectly straight. Cool. And then I have my structure points. Cool. So that's the structure that we're in. And then, yeah, if I want to get rid of it, again, all I do is hold command and select what I want to get rid of. Backspace. If I got rid of too many things, just command Z. And if I just want to get rit of these two things, boom, done deal. So nice and quick. It's especially when you're spending hours and hours and hours, whether it be going over case studies, back testing, whatever it is. At least it gives you some shortcuts and stuff like that. There's a couple good videos. I can post some in maybe I'll make a video library of just some useful sort of resources to kind of go over and how to categorize different things and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, for the most part, like that's all I really do is I screw around like that. So yeah. So we already went over this trade. I'm pretty well just going to use this time to kind of, do a kind of Q&A, keep it pretty loose. Usually on live trading days, there's not going to be really a whole lot of like going over charts, because if we've already live traded, chances are there's not any trades that were sort of taken. So for me, there's no real valid. You could have maybe taken a trade in here because we have in fact broken structure. It might have been a setup in here. Ideally, I would want to see something come up a little bit higher. This be used as inducement to kind of come up and maybe into this buy to sell sort of region off the flip. But yeah, like just follow the rules, right? Breaking structure is one thing, but we need something to induce, right? The better move is going to be once we come back up into the flip, or furthermore, even coming up into here, right? So this is just a game of patience, right? And then once we react to, obviously higher time frame demand over here, if we decide that we change character, then we can start looking for this to run into this liquid region, right? Which would now be the new counter trend move. No clean setup, fair enough. Having the flowchart logic in form of a drawing in TradingView, like a line chart, brings more clarity. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure if you're like asking me to like do a line chart or what. So what I'm going to work on is an infographic of just like how all of these things sort of work. And yeah, I'll work on those. Probably won't be done today. I would say probably by the weekend I'll have them sort of sorted out. I've got a few other things in the works right now. One of them being a day planner that's going to be able to integrate with the Notion account that you have, not necessarily going to be integrated into the trading hub, but it'll be like a separate folder contained within Notion. So I'm just working on fixing, it's a templated one that they have within like the Notion templates themselves. So it's just a matter of me adjusting it so that it makes sense for us. It should be done today, I'm hoping. If not, it'll be later on this week. Working like a dog here, man, trying to make sure that everybody's getting their questions answered in the community. That's obviously like the main priority right now, especially with the first week, just getting rid of those growing pains. And yeah, really just trying to address the important stuff. And then we'll get into more of the nitty gritty. It would be good to have a TradingView tutorial. I suck at it. Had totally no idea what I was supposed to do with your chart layout. I copied it and didn't know what to do. Haven't had time to explore. Cool. There was a nice entry in the 15-minute POI. Hope I see it good, but it gives a nice 14 RR until now. Let's have a quick look. Supply, technically, because we've broken structure, so 15 supply, right? Let's go see it the 1 minute, see if anything makes sense. Doesn't come, like for me, it doesn't come from an area of a liquidity grab. So I'd be a little reluctant to take this, to be honest with you, just based on the fact that exposed to equal highs. I don't particularly like that. This flip might have worked right here where you're not quite as exposed. So once we, chalk up and then just get rid of my drawings here, and I'm just going to use this instead. So chalk up. Yeah, chalk up, chalk down. Sorry. Chalk up, chalk down. What caused the break? Well, it's in the flip, right? So you can maybe get in here, wait for supply chain to sort of get formed right in here, have a level to induce, level to induce. Yeah, like that's, yeah, you could probably get away with it, but yeah, the better move, the way that we would probably want to see it is, yeah, something coming back up into here at some point into this higher time frame flip zone would be more beneficial. Not to say that it's invalidated, by the way, Alex, like it's still like there's still some logic there. It's just not quite like the ideal setup, at least for myself. I would want to see probably some sort of a deeper pullback to then take the actual move, like the bigger move that's at play, right? I'm patient though, man. I'm a baby. I don't like these little continuations. I like waiting for the bigger play at hand. Let liquidity build up to it, sweep like this, build equals, boom, EOF, boom, come back down into demand, boom. You know what I mean? That's just how I do it. I like to let the bigger play out. And that's more recently. I'm just getting a lot more patient. Thanks for the effort. Appreciate that. Thank you for the work you're putting in. If you missed the live session, how would you go about into logging the data for today's PA? You would rewind to the start of New York on the 15-minute time frame and start marking up as you go, and not go on the lower time frame until exactly. Bang on, Mr. Forex Bag. Actually, I waited for the flip after that M1 chalk. Cool. How do you typically manage trade for partials? For example, 25% at 4R, rest off at weak and strong points. So it's a good question. So every time is a little bit different. And it's pretty well like the only part of this community that I don't really teach. And the reason why is because I don't have a concrete plan as to like when I move to break even, or when I take partials 25% off or 20% off at 5R or whatever it is, or week 1 minute low or high, whatever it is. So I think a good rule of thumb is, fuck, I don't even know. I don't know how to like really talk about this properly, because there's so many different variations. If we are like let's say we get in at the absolute top for whatever reason, we were able to get in at the absolute top, and we've established that, like, let's say this is a pro trend order flow move, and we've got in at the very top for whatever reason, and price has no business coming back up here. I would move over to break even and keep more volume on the table to be able to take profit fully. Whereas something like this on a continuation, yeah, I would be more enticed to take some profit off the table a little bit earlier, if that makes sense, to kind of cover my risk in case we come back up to wick this area. So every time a situation kind of comes up, it's a little bit different in how I will manage my break even, whether that be in the form of partials or actually moving over to break even. Yeah, so I don't really have like a really strong answer on that right this second. I've been toying back and forth with both of those for about a year, just over a year actually, whether or not to take partials, whether or not to just keep a break even. I used to be a huge fan of break evens, used to be a huge fan of partials, and now I just kind of use both, depending on how things set up. I don't have a better explanation right this second. So yeah, trade management is like, well, Eric knows, he's done a class with me. I always preach about this, but management is really like the only art form in trading, right? It's the only thing that like remains subjective, right? It's like, I could view the market from a counter trend perspective. You could view it from a pro trend perspective, and I could probably make more money on the counter trend than you would the pro trend, because I knew where to get out and I knew how to manage my position better with the counter trend setup, right? So like it's like we're going to get into quite a bit of the different logic behind why I manage the way I do with specific trades as they come up. But I don't have like a concrete, like, this is what I do, and that's it. So in the beginning stages, I think the best way to sort of go about it, depending on how much you're risking per trade too, like all of these things need to be factored in. It's always best to just kind of protect your capital and move over to break even on the weak parts. 1 minute structure lows, whatever it is, or structure highs, depending which way you're trading. So yeah, man, again, I don't want to talk in circles, but it's really it's quite a subjective topic. So I'm just going to see what else. Trade management is an art form. Yes, it is. For me, it's a matter of psychology too. As the profit develops, you gotta know how much you still want to risk, how much you're willing to take something off the table, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, and I think it should remain subjective. I think that there's a lot of things that are very, very process based in terms of how we develop our edge into getting into something, and from there, it's about, like, how likely are we to tap into liquidity that we're targeting? What is the, after we tap into that liquid region, like what is the chance of seeing a really deep pullback? Is there anything mitigated before my entry, right? Like, is there, like, or unmitigated rather, like, that all these things combined is like that's what makes every single situation a little bit more unique than the previous one. So all this to be said, moving forward, like, we do a trade recap every day. You know what I mean? It's an hour-long trade recap, Q&A. I'm going to show you how I manage. I'm going to show you if I take full volume. I'll tell you why I take full volume, why I take partials, and how I manage in terms of break even if I take a partial to keep my stop loss open. So yeah, like, I'll show you examples and I'll give you reasoning why, right? Because ultimately the bottom line is it's really dependent on the specific situation. Yeah, go ahead, Trev.
Yeah, hey Ty, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, awesome, man. So I have the POI flowchart out, and I'm just looking at the POI you just have in the flip zone right there. Yeah. So I go down the chart, and I'm not sure if it's just a habit from my previous plan, but when I was looking at that, I wanted to see that low test. Like, I wanted to see that candle body close below the previous low before I called that. Does that matter, or is it okay if it just broke with a wick?
I would never trade from here to begin with, right? Because we actually don't tick all the boxes to begin with on that. I was just basically highlighting because somebody mentioned it in the chat that they'd taken a trade from here. For me, this isn't valid. Like, this is valid now to basically look at something like this as a flip zone, and this be used as liquidity to get us into there.
Okay, awesome.
Right? Because really, the break of structure is not here. The break of structure is here, right?
Yeah.
Does that answer?
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah, man, I'm just like, I had that kind of selected because, like I said, just somebody had mentioned it. Okay. I would never trade from them personally.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so again, don't want to like talk around in circles too much about this, but the bottom line is like, management is arguably the most subjective thing that we have in the market, and my trade ideas will greatly differ than to somebody else's trading the same kind of style. But yeah, it's all about management, right? It's all about your experience with the market and like understanding that, like, if I got into, like, let's say I got into a trade, for example, right here, okay, something like this with something maybe like a unmitigated just above here, and I was covering this high, I would probably take a partial profit to be able to keep my stop loss open in case we decide to wick back up into here. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of different ways that, like, obviously we need to see the lower time frame a little bit more too. Safest bet is if you are trading the rules that we're incorporating right now, as soon as a 1 minute weak spot sort of gives out, if you're catching things the proper way with the limits on the 5 second chart, or even just the 1 minute chart, moving to break even on the first weak point on the 1 minute should be more than adequate to be able to bring you more than enough profit. And if you get wicked out, chances are something is shifting, and we're reacting to another level that might get you a better entry further into your PA. So I'm not sure if you answered my question. Okay, give me a second. Let me go up. If you missed the live session, how would you go about logging the data for today's PA? So if you're talking about if you didn't trade because you missed the session or whatever, you would basically just perform a case study and say that you didn't trade, right? And you would just make a notation of like no trade. So if you haven't already, you should check out the welcome video number 2, and I kind of show you how to put those no trade days into Notion. So that's probably the first course of action that I would sort of take. And then let me just see, would you rewind to the start of the New York? So if you're talking about back testing it, yeah, I would basically correlate your timeframes. You always want to understand what the 4 hours doing. You want to be able to understand like what the 15-minute intention is, and then work your way down, right? And be able to back test, but there's absolutely no reason to go on to the lower time frame until something presents itself in terms of an order flow shift properly with the 15-minute to correlate with your narrative, right? So yeah, does that answer your question? Any other questions, by the way, guys? Like I said, it's kind of irrelevant to really go over today's PA. So does that mean markup as the chart moves on? Yeah, of course. So if you want to go, so essentially you'd be back testing the session, which is never a bad thing if you've missed it, right? Yeah, you would mark it up exactly like with the bar replay, and exactly how you would with a live scenario, right? Furthermore, like, I mean, you should be building a case study around it too, right? Like that's really what the homework assignment is. And like, I mean, if you miss the session, you miss the session. It is what it is. And like I said, if you feel obligated to back test it to make sure that you're keeping up, that's more than adequate to be able to do that. So yeah, but mark up exactly how you would with a live session, right? Print a 15-minute candle, boom. Like for example, like let's just do something like this. And so how I would attack my session would be like, okay, my session starts at 7, let's say. So right now we can see that essentially we've tapped into the low, right? We've broken the low. So what's the reason that this low right here gave way? Well, this supply was where essentially the mitigation process should kick in and kind of create that new low. So if we break here, that creates an order flow shift that aligns with a pro structure move, right? So once we tap into this sort of region like this, then we can start to filter whether or not we want to see a 1 minute chalk. And furthermore, if we have any sort of refined POY, so if you go down to the 1 minute, you can see this extreme that sits right here. We have liquidity to support the move. We have a level to induce. We have a very clear sell to buy after a take on liquidity. So if we tap into this, we're pro structure, pro order flow. After we realigned order flow here on the 15-minute, we can then toggle ourselves down into the 5 second, right? So yeah, you would just literally go through it as if it was a back testing session. So very quickly, let's just jump through this. Okay, we tap into, not quite tap into the 15-minute POI. Okay. So we're not tapped into the 15-minute POI. So for me, there's no trade to take here, right? So like, yeah, we've just to say right before it, but like that's, if you're following the rules, like close enough is not good enough here. We're not in the POI, right? Boom, start reacting to the high. Okay, we wick the high, that's fine. Create liquidity. So I would mark this out. You know, we got 1 minute equals to target. All of this is built around us looking for that long that's pro structure, pro order flow, right? So we got 1 minute liquidity, right? We have reason for price to go up now. We're going to come back into here. And more than likely, we need that first level of inducement, right? So this is going to act as our inducement right here, right? And then it's just a matter of waiting for everything that we need. So boom, sweep through. So right now, the level that needs to break for us to have a chalk is right here, right? We need to see that break. Otherwise, we don't have a trade idea. Okay. Doesn't break. So very simple. Now the supply range is right here, right? Here's the supply that creates the low that sweeps, right? So ultimately, all we're looking for now is to go down onto the 5 seconds. We've had the sweep. We've essentially tapped in, right? So we've absorbed supply. We've had the change of character. We've had the sweep of liquidity. So all the things tick the boxes, right? So does that mean you mark up as the chart moves on bar replay? Of course, exactly. Just like a live session, right? That's what you're trying to sort of simulate here. So then we just walk through this. Okay, so we're in supply. You can see that we have a refined supply zone right here, right? That's unmitigated. We tap in. So this supply's job, the way that I always see supply or demand, is supply's job is to take out demand, right? So the next demand level that it needs to take out is here for it to stay relevant, right? But we've already swept liquidity. So if we do something like this and we fail, this supply zone fails and we break structure, well, that gives us a catalyst for being able to jump into our position, right? Okay, so we come back up in, that's fine. Boom, we break. So where do we break from? Well, we broke from this demand range. So very simple. You could refine this down to this demand is the one that essentially causes supply to fail. You put your limit right here. You cover this low right here. Tapped in. Away we go. Would you consider a PA as setting up for inducement if it haven't tapped into your 15 or 30-minute POI before reacting, even if it has tapped into the H4? Well, ideally, you have to remember that there's external factors here too, right? Like we're basing our POI based off of a 4 or a 15-minute order flow shift, right? So the 15-minute is where the POI has been created. Yeah, we have this big POI right here, but we've tapped in, we've produced a chalk and basically respected this low like this, right? Just to say wick below it, which is cool, whatever, it is what it is. But once we wick below it, then we need to see order flow realign, right? So order flow is realigned, we've taken this out, that creates this POI. And then, yeah, ideally we want to see a level to, like, if we don't have a level of liquidity to take in the market to basically fuel us into the direction that we're intending to go, it's really simple. You become the liquidity, right? You want to take the first chalk that's like, you know, all system, like, be my guest, but it's very, very simple. If there's no liquidity to take in the market, you will be taken. And that's the way the flow chart is designed. If you don't wait for a sweep, you're going to be the sweep, right? So, and sometimes you don't get a sweep and it just ends up running. But here's the thing, you either want to follow a set of rules or you want to roll the dice every fucking time and say, well, maybe this is the time it doesn't happen. So wait for the sweep. I tell you, man, your strike rate's going to go up 50%. It's as simple as that. Wait for your rules. This has been carefully curated over the course of the last, like, fuck, man. I don't even know how long at this point. But I'm telling you, just follow through. Let the level of liquidity get taken into the POI and let the rest just fly, man. That's it. That's all. Thank you for the clear up. One last thing. Would you back test the whole New York session? Just the hours you would be on the chart. Only back test the hours you would ever be on the chart. In my opinion, it is the best way to go about things. If you, for myself, just for example, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock sometimes, depending. I jump on the charts, I have a look, see what's going on, see where the POIs are, if there are any. And tell you right now, I don't stay home from the gym just because we're in a POI. Like, no, man, I get my ass to the gym because that's more important to me. So the bottom line here is, yeah, you need to have some sort of parameter in your trade plan to say like, okay, like I only want to trade from 7 a.m. Eastern Standard to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, 3 hours a day. That's it. Come on, you get back from the gym, set your alerts. So what I'm getting at, this whole thing, is you only want to backtest the session that you would particularly trade, because otherwise you wouldn't be trading those systems anyways. So it's more important for me, at least, to really show you what's available, how many sessions per week it's available to trade our edge. And you're not going to get a trade every day, and that's cool. That's fine. We still have a session-based approach in terms of how we manage positions. However, we have a higher time frame narrative when it comes to executing. So very, very conservative on both how we get in as well as how we get out of the market. All this to say, again, only backtest the hours that you would normally be live trading. Again, you can, so if you want to backtest, that's a good way to do it. If you want to build case studies, okay, case studies are a little bit different. So ideally you want to build your case study around the session that you trade. There's usually always a reversal of some sort on the 15-minute every single New York or London session. So the idea with the case study is to basically just reverse engineer, okay, well, what happened? Like what happened here? Where were the areas that it could have got in? Was there anything that meets our criteria here? No, probably not, because we swept the low, right? So we still need to see the 15-minute order flow shift. So the only logical place to get into the market would have been here. So you could build a case study around this, right? Furthermore, you could build your case study around, maybe something up here, right? And say, okay, well, we had the 15-minute order flow shift. Were we reacting to something on the 4-hour? We obviously were. We shifted order flow. We came back up into the flip. We had a level of liquidity to take, You know what I mean? So backtesting wise, it's always good to just relive the session as if you were trading it in real time. Building case studies to really put the nail in the coffin with how the strategy works. Really good to kind of pinpoint the small little reversals that happen within the market and reverse engineer those in hindsight. Hopefully that's a good explanation. Case study is having all the candles printed on the PA, and yeah, exactly. So a case study would literally be built like this. We're going to be doing one tomorrow. That's going to be our first little project for our Friday sessions. But yeah, it would just be like, okay, well, what happened here? Do we have an entry model for this? And we don't, which is cool. We let the market reverse, right? Like, so now our entry model basically tells us like, okay, we need a level of liquidity to take. We should be coming from a demand to supply zone. So ultimately, once price prints, maybe by tomorrow, and we come into here, then we can actually look to build a case study around the price that's already printed. But that's the idea, is we want to build our case study with the candles already there, so that we're just looking and proving why the flow chart works in our favor based on the reversals that are showing themselves within the market. 15-minute supply that's been created. Market has to break structure to get back there. Will we be waiting for another 15-minute shock? So the market would not have to break structure to get there. So structure is only going to be formed once we change character, right? So once we change character here, that confirms that this is the structural low. So the structure break would actually be here. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, if we went like this, okay, like, let's say we went like this, and obviously we take out this supplies, we would break order flow. That's exactly it. We would break the flow of money, right? Which is cool. But the only time order flow is actually broken is if we're reacting to something relevant to the left-hand side. So in this case, do we have a relevant POI? Well, this is not really relevant because we have no interaction to the left-hand side. So even if we react to this and we come up to here, we are still pro order flow. So we can actually look at this 15-minute POI as the flip to be able to then look for lower time frame confirmations. And furthermore, if you want to be a little bit more conservative and you do want to treat this as if it was a relevant POI that we're reacting to, and this is counter order flow, then it's very simple. We just look for the 15-minute to realign with what we're doing and target the liquidity down into the next 4-hour unmitigated, right? So I hope that clears things up. isn't there a 15-minute flip by the left-hand side? You want to mark it out for me? This is not a POI though, right? Like this is not going to, no, it's because the flip is not in relation to this. It's in relation to, okay, did supply kick in over here and create anything, any reason for this pullback? No, it didn't. So there's no interaction here. So this is not a valid POI to trade from, in my opinion. Does that make sense, Jet? This is not a flip. Yeah, okay, cool. Awesome. I don't want to get too confused here. But yeah, so like ultimately, got it. So overall, we'll just wait for a 1 minute to chalk. Yeah, like up in this POI up here. So yeah, we like if we came into this 4-hour POI right here and then started moving, I would say, yeah, we need to see an order flow shift on the 15 because this is a relevant POI based on the fact that it's broken structure and it comes from an area that's taken liquidity over here, right? Anyways, I don't want to get like too into detail. Like we'll build a case study tomorrow. I'm going to show you the mechanics of like how to properly select a POI, all that kind of stuff, and correlate with the flow chart. But yeah, hopefully this is this starting to sink in for everybody? Just like how we kind of view the market now. It's okay if it's not. Just want to know what's up. Cool. There's what do we got? We got 25 people in here and like 4 people answer. It's pretty whack. For the rest of you guys, is it clarifying questions? To reiterate what you said a second ago, is it fair to say we don't have a structure point until we have an order like 100%, right? This is only a structure point. It's not a structure point. We don't know where structure sits yet because we haven't had a 15-minute order flow shift. Once order flow shifts, that creates the structure point, right? So this was only a structural high when this broke, right? This was only a structural high when this broke right here, right? This was only a structural high when this low broke right here, right? So yeah, order flow needs to shift to prove that this is now the new structure low. 1 1 1 1 1. Never thought of it like that before. Yeah, man. Awesome. Thanks, Carlo. Appreciate it, man. Okay, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today, man. I'm done. I got some shit to do too, so I'm gonna be just prepping for tomorrow. And yeah, we'll look forward to building a fucking bomb-ass case study is what we're gonna be doing tomorrow. So stay on top of your homework. The less trades you take, the less homework you have to do. I don't know who needs to hear that, but just remember, the more you trade, the more homework you create for yourself. So don't take a bunch of fucking dumb losses because you're going to be swamped in homework. And I'm going to tell you something, in order for you to optimize your experience in this community, to be able to get the one-on-ones, to be able to use all the resources you can possibly have, you need to have your homework done. So if you want to put more strain on yourself and take a bunch of fucking dumb losses and not follow the flow chart, you're going to have a hell of a time getting in a room with me. Do what you got to do, man. Anyways, system. Okay? Do not overtrade. Wait for your setups. You're a hunter. Just because the setup is in sight doesn't mean it's ready. Have a good one. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.